Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever been listening to the radio and wondered what gives a particular station that unique, punchy, professional sound? It's not just about the music or the personalities, it's about the magic of audio processing. Today, we're going to dive deep into a huge choice that every modern broadcaster has to make. Should that magic happen in a physical box at the station or virtually up in the cloud? Let's get into it. Now, just so you know where we're coming from, this is part 3 of a big 15-part series. It's all based on a really comprehensive research report called On-Premises versus Cloud-Based Broadcast Automation Systems, which comes from Virtualization Options LLC. And today we are zeroing in on Chapter 3, which is all about audio processing and signal flow. All right, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to start with why any of this matters, what it takes to craft that perfect sound. Then, we'll look at the 2 main paths audio can take. After that, we'll follow the signal's journey from start to finish, peek inside the audio engineer's toolbox, and wrap up by looking at how you actually control the whole shebang. Let's do this. Okay, first up, crafting the perfect sound. This is really the heart and soul of it all. It's about so much more than just hitting play on a song. It's about creating a unique sonic signature, that sound that tells you instantly which station you're listening to, without even having to think about it. And this is pretty much the command center where it all happens, the broadcast control room. I know, it looks complicated, right? Because it is. This is the nerve center where all the raw audio, from mics, from music files, you name it, gets shaped, polished, and perfected before it ever makes it to your radio. So that leads us right back to the big question. What is that secret sauce? Well, it's the audio processing. Think of it as a whole collection of tools and techniques that makes a rock station sound huge and aggressive, a classical station sound rich and full, or a talk radio station sound incredibly crisp and clear. And that brings us to the fundamental choice at the very core of this whole discussion. In today's world, there are 2 totally different ways to handle all this processing. Let's break down those 2 paths. So on one side, you've got what we call the on-premises approach. Think of this as your physical toolbox. You have actual dedicated hardware, real boxes with knobs and blinking lights sitting right there in a rack at your station. And on the other side, you've got the cloud-based approach, the virtual toolbox. Here, it's all software running on powerful servers somewhere out on the internet, and you get to it through your web browser. Now, to really understand the pros and cons of these 2 paths, we first need to get a handle on something called signal flow. This is the exact journey your audio takes from the moment it's created to the moment a listener hears it. And trust me, that path is absolutely critical for quality. So what is signal flow? Well, put simply, it's the path the audio signal takes. It kicks off at a source, say a host talking into a microphone, then it runs through all that processing we just talked about, and it ends up at the final output, which is usually the station's transmitter. And this shows that journey perfectly. You start with the raw audio input, then it hits the processing chain to get all polished up. From there, it goes to the playout system that schedules everything, and finally, it's sent out to the transmitter. Now here's the crucial part. While these 4 steps are basically always the same, where they happen, on-site in your building or out there in the cloud, that changes everything. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The report we're drawing from really hammers this home. It says, understanding signal flow and timing considerations is essential for integrating audio processing. And that makes perfect sense, right? Timing is everything in a live broadcast, and the path your audio takes has a direct impact on that timing. Okay, so now that we get the path, let's actually look inside the toolbox itself. What are the specific tools, whether they're physical or virtual, that are doing all the heavy lifting to make the audio sound so good? These right here are the building blocks of any pro broadcast sound, and it doesn't matter if they live in a physical rack or just as lines of code in the cloud. You've got things like equalizers or EQs to shape the tone. You have compressors to even out the volume levels so listeners aren't constantly reaching for the volume knob. And then you have tools like noise gates to cut out any of that unwanted background hiss or hum. It's all of these working together that creates that final polished product. So this brings us to a really practical, real-world consideration. How does an engineer actually interact with all these tools? Let's take a look at the big differences in control, how adjustments are made, and that all-important issue of latency. This table just lays it all out perfectly. With an on-prem system, an engineer literally has their hands on physical knobs or is using a local computer interface. The response is instantaneous. We're talking near zero latency. But with a cloud system, you're working through a web browser or an API. The control is super flexible, you can do it from anywhere, but every adjustment you make is totally dependent on your internet connection. That introduces potential delays, and in live radio, even a tiny fraction of a second matters. I mean, can you imagine being a host and hearing your own voice back in your headphones with just a slight delay? It's incredibly distracting and can completely throw off a live interview. So the real takeaway here is this. Both systems let you make dynamic, on-the-fly adjustments. You can totally change the sound based on the song, the host, or even the time of day. But the way you do it, the actual implementation, the feel, and the responsiveness of that control, it's just fundamentally different. One is immediate and tactile, the other is remote and flexible. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As this audio toolbox becomes more and more virtual, as it increasingly lives in the cloud, what does that really mean for the future role of the broadcast engineer? Is their job going to be more about managing data flows and network performance than about physically turning knobs? It's a fascinating question about where this whole industry is headed. Thanks so much for watching.